What's your sign? On the next Mystic Fix, we're talking all things astrology. Don't miss it.
Mystic Fix, a program for the whole being, with Julia Gordon-Bramer on News Talk STL.
Welcome to Mystic Fix. I'm Julia Gordon-Bramer. I'm an author, scholar of mysticism, and professional tarot card reader. Most of us are familiar with astrology, at least a little bit, usually the sun signs. I'm a Sagittarian. But there's more to astrology than that, and it can get pretty confusing, especially when it's giving us instructions on how to live or predictions for what will be happening to us. We hear about a moon in this or Mercury retrograde controlling our lives, and some of us take it a little more seriously than others. Some of us don't know what any of it means. Hopefully, some of those mysteries will be explained. But in this next episode of Mystic Fix, in line with the star card in the tarot, we are going to meet two astrologers, Catherine Rankovic and Eric Rosen. So first, Catherine, welcome.
Thank you, Julia.
You're welcome. Catherine is a professional astrologer. She's author of Sun Sign Confidential. She's a writer for American Astrology and Dell Horoscope magazines, Psychic Power Network, and hubpages.com. Well, why don't we start there? I know there's more, but Catherine, some of us have had natal charts done, and you did one for me way back when, and I was fascinated with how revealing it was. Even made me feel a little vulnerable, honestly. Some of the stuff that came up. And to me, the natal chart is just intimidating. It's too much like math. And I see you've got some there. So tell us why you brought them and what that means, that series of lines and what looks like someone just had fun with a bunch of angles and curves.
Okay, the circular horoscope charts that you will see online and other places, that's a sky map. It's a 360-degree sky circle, as it would be if you were lying on your back and facing south in the northern hemisphere. And it does give the exact position of the real planets in the real sky at the moment that we choose to make the horoscope for. If we chose one right now, we would see Venus in Gemini, for example. In fact, you can see that in our night sky right now.
Ah, yeah.
So this is a sky map. Yes, it seems intimidating. There are numbers and symbols, but you learn that over time. Anyone who wants to could actually, like in 2 weeks, learn all these symbols and signs and learn the basics of the chart. But to read and interpret a chart is something else again. And I've been at it for 40 years, and I'm still learning.
Okay.
And the whole point is to still learn.
So you're kind of like me with tarot. I feel the same way
Yes.
with tarot. Yeah. So there's some of the symbols I know. I can recognize my Sagittarian arrow
Yes.
in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I know kind of the Scorpio and some of the things you see a lot. But when it gets into some of these other planets and nodes and I don't know, that's all pretty beyond me. But so you're going to talk about astrology with regard to the summer season, right?
Yes, I am. I'm going to talk about not birth or natal astrology, but I'm going to talk about what's called electional astrology, which is when you look ahead and try to choose a date, or you look back and see what was happening on a particular date when a particular event happened. So we're talking about event astrology rather than birth or personal. And because it's June, ruled by the goddess Juno, I have chosen to talk about today wedding planning and wedding charts.
Oh, very
And
appropriate.
and the charts in front of me are of some of the most popular dates in 2023.
Okay.
So-
And what makes them popular? Just sort of,
I actually looked them up to see how many weddings were scheduled on what particular day, and the number one day for 2023 is the 23rd of September.
oh, really?
2023. I guess people like the 9/23/23. And so I cast a chart for that. First of all, I want to talk about astrology in general. There's a fallacy that astrology controls your life, that a chart somehow makes something inevitable, but that's really not true. If you look at a chart, for example, a wedding chart ahead of time, you can tell what influences will be going on and what you can work with. And so you are advised by the chart, but it does not control you in any way.
Okay, so my chart doesn't say that I'm doomed and something has to happen to me and I don't have a choice.
No, you always have free will. Every astrologer will tell you that. Also, people who believe in God, Jesus, the Buddha, all these people, they will always tell you you have a brain and free will and your own intelligence.
I think people get kind of discouraged with astrology. You know, we've all grown up reading the horoscopes in the newspaper, or back when there were newspapers. I'm dating myself. But, in these sort of very general, blasé kind of expect interesting things this afternoon, something that could apply to absolutely anyone, anytime. And sometimes we've seen for even our, there's that astrological book that's pretty popular. Mine is actually right on where it has if you were born on this day, such and such. But as I'm understanding it now, there's so many other factors beyond that sun sign and the day of your birth. Moons and other planets, and they all carry their certain weight and influence, right?
Yes, they do. And that's the art part of astrology. We're talking about a sacred relationship between the earth and the sky. And that there is one is no question. Whether we're reading it right, we as humans are not sure. Astrology is 4,000 years old, and we're still learning. And my God, in the 20th century, we are discovering more planets. We're discovering asteroids and other galaxies, other worlds.
So do you think these new discoveries are affecting anything?
I know for a fact that some of the asteroids that were discovered in 1977, there are 4 of them. They're named for goddesses. I have been watching them, and yes, they do have an influence. Huh. I wouldn't believe anybody telling me that they had an influence. I had to see for myself through charts and looking at practical applications of these asteroids. Now, some people are into hundreds of asteroids, and that's where I draw the line. I draw the line at something you just discovered yesterday, and you are saying, well, this governs the Slavic American population of the United States. I said, I don't think so. Not until you've watched it and got some experience with.
How about Pluto being downgraded from a planet to
Pluto is a planet. We take, in astrology, we take Pluto as a planet, just as it's always been. And that one was discovered in 1930, and we still don't know all its effects, but we do know it's an extremely powerful planet.
Interesting. Okay. Well, so tell us about some of these auspicious dates that you've pulled out.
Okay. First of all, I checked the 23rd of September, since so many people would like that date for a wedding. And that's a fantastic day to get married. Those of you who are choosing to get married that day, if you choose it intuitively or however you did a wonderful job. Astrologically, the main thing about a wedding chart is that you want the asteroid Juno high up in the chart, on the top half, high in the sky during the wedding ceremony. Juno was the wife of Jupiter, king of the gods, so Juno was queen of the gods, and June is actually named for her, and you know that that's the wedding month.
It's my mother's name.
Your mother's name. Juno was very, very married to Jupiter. Jupiter had his adventures, but Juno was faithful, and Juno believed in marriage. So the asteroid Juno is one of those goddess asteroids discovered in 1977. I found it effective and smart in a chart, especially when you're setting up weddings. We have, in this 23rd September chart, a double trine involving like almost all the planets. And by trine, we mean something very favorable. And to have a double trine is even more favorable.
So, I mean, I hear trine and I think of 3, right? With trine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is
3 planets joined at 120-degree angles to form in the heavens a perfect geometric, sacred geometry triangle.
Okay.
Okay, and I have set this chart for 12 noon that day, in case you're getting married at 12 noon. And we have Juno there, very high in the chart, at 19 degrees of Leo, and couldn't be better. She's just right at the chart, up at the top of the chart, watching you and blessing your union. And anytime between like 10:30 a.m. that day and 3 p.m. that day, she will be at or near the top of your wedding chart, blessing you there.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that'll be great.
Any other dates you've got?
Another popular date to get married. They're all in the fall. Everybody in St. Louis anyway likes to get married when the weather's a little moderated. 7th of October, even a better chart, even better. Here we have on the Saturday, the 7th of October, a conjunction, which is a very good and powerful thing, between the asteroid Juno and the planet Venus.
Oh.
And you know all about the planet Venus.
Uh-huh.
So there we have love and fidelity and the best vibes possible for a wedding on that day in around during the daylight hours. Okay. During the evening hours, I would say if you're choosing a time during that date, you should really consult an astrologer because charts, of course, change as the Earth turns a little bit every few minutes. So there's a difference between a 1 o'clock wedding chart and a 1:30 wedding chart.
Mm-hmm.
So best thing to do would be to consult an astrologer if you're at all interested in learning how Juno affects your planned wedding chart.
So many of these weddings are at the mercy of the schedules of the churches, though. I mean, I remember I didn't get to pick my date. My church said, "Oh, right, it's going to be this date or this date. Which one do you like best?" You know, and they told me the time and all of that. So a lot of it's the luck of the draw, I think. At least if you go in a traditional church, it might be different if you're married on a beach or something.
If you can choose, make an astrologically positive choice. But ultimately, marriage is about the people in it, and it would be nice to do a compatibility chart, and it would be nice to compare natal charts and so on. But it's all about the people, and if you don't consult an astrologer, that's fine too. But you know that certain cultures, such as in India, horoscopes of potential mates have to match or mesh correctly, or they won't allow the wedding to go forward. It means that much to them. Here in the U.S., not so much so. It's just I look at a chart, for example, like Prince Harry and Duchess of Sussex, Meaghan. Look at their wedding chart. They were married on the 19th of May, 2018. And I've always wondered about their marriage. They're public figures, but we know actually very little about how their marriage works from the inside. They tend to be very private, and they want to be very private.
How do they look in the chart?
They look in the chart as if they want money.
Interesting.
As if money was a central preoccupation. They will always be famous and always be chased after. They are both highly intelligent and creative. We have a conjunction at the very top of their chart between Uranus and Mercury. They're both brilliant in their way, and we'll see that. We'll see them make brilliant moves, but they want money. And they also strangely want privacy. They have Juno in their 8th house, which is also the house of mysteries such as sex and birth and death. And so their marriage internally will always be very private. And there will be very painful moments I see also in it. I did not like the day they were married, which was on a Saturday, 19th of May. The sun at that point was in a point in the sky that astrologers historically do not like, which is in conjunction with a star called Caput Algol, a blinking star. Every civilization has looked up at this star and thought it meant or portended evil.
Ooh.
I am not sure about that, but if I had a choice, I would not have married them on that particular day, the one day of the year when the sun is in conjunction with Caput Algol. But they don't have as good of a chart as you will have if you marry this fall. Now, if you marry later in October, the planets will have moved, and the chart won't be so supportive. And by Christmas time, I would not recommend that you marry this year around Christmas time. Put it off until January or so.
Okay. Catherine, before we close, you said you had a little bit of lore, astrological lore to share with us.
Oh yes, about weddings and marriage. Let's talk about the ring, since the ring is such a big deal here. I also am very interested in crystals, and I'm particularly interested in diamonds because they are the most complex of the crystals. And everyone has the idea of what the perfect diamond might be. Diamonds are very powerful, and they're so powerful because they absorb all energies.
Oh.
Other stones release energy. The diamond absorbs all energies, and you have to be mature enough to wear it because it draws all kinds of forces to you. This is why women, after they marry, put away the diamond ring and just wear the band. Because all of a sudden, all kinds of responsibilities are drawn to them as married women. There are children, there's the house, there's the cooking, there's expectations, there's the work, and so on. Life changes radically. So you take off the diamond and it chills it out.
Wow.
But it is the diamond attracting all that responsibility.
How interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Catherine, you've got a book coming out, right? Biblos? How do you say that?
Tetrabiblos.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a book I wrote for intermediate astrologers. Actually, it's a translation of a 2nd century classic astrology text.
Mm-hmm.
And Western astrology is based on this book by Claudius Ptolemy. And he was a great astronomer and mathematician. He was the one who proved that planets move through the sky in an orderly and geometric fashion. And he decided that astronomy and astrology at that time were pretty much the same thing. Nice. So what I did was translate his book from Greek to plain American English. It's called Tetrabiblos for the 21st Century.
Yeah, and we should say your pen name is Sylvia Sky.
Oh yes, you'll find me online having written under the name Sylvia Sky.
Yeah, and your Amazon ebook is Sun Sign Confidential, The Dark Side of the 12 Zodiac Signs.
It's so fun.
I believe we can reach you, Catherine, at horoscopereview@gmail.com. Is that correct?
Yes, that is my email if you would like a consultation or a reference to another astrologer in town if you'd like to meet an astrologer and have a real live astrologer do your chart and answer all your questions. Yes, horoscopereview@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be right back for part 2 of Mystic Fix with our second astrologer, Eric Rosen, to talk about manifesting with confidence and passion and to give us an idea of what any sign can expect in the second half of this year. You're listening to Mystic Fix.